Ethan Walker had always liked the quiet of Willow Creek, the small American town where nothing dramatic ever happened. The kind of place where neighbors waved at each other from porches, where summer smelled like barbecue, where the loudest thing at night was the crickets. He used to think the world would stay that way forever. He used to think peace was permanent. He used to think machines could only do what humans programmed them to do. He used to think a lot of things. Then the sky broke open. It began just after 4:17 p.m. Ethan remembered the exact time because he had glanced at the microwave clock while heating leftovers. The lights flickered once, twice. The refrigerator hummed wrong, like someone was strangling it from the inside. He frowned and checked the circuit breaker. His little sister, Abby Walker, sat on the couch hugging her therapy dog plushie Dottie. "Ethan, why is everything buzzing?" He listened. A deep vibration, so low it felt like it lived inside his bones. Then silence. Every electrical device in the house died at once. No lights, no TV, no hum, no sound at all. Was that an EMP? Ethan whispered, confused. He'd studied engineering in college. He knew what an electromagnetic pulse looked like. This felt similar, but wrong. Too controlled, too deliberate. Abby stood, her voice trembling. "Ethan, look outside." He turned toward the window and saw the sky opening like a mechanical wound. A massive triangular shape pushed through the clouds, dark metal, glowing with cold blue veins of energy. Sparks of lightning coiled around its edges like the atmosphere itself was rejecting it. For a moment, Ethan forgot how to breathe. "Is that a ship?" Abby grabbed his arm. "Ethan, I'm scared." He didn't answer. He couldn't. The ship wasn't landing. It was deploying. Dozens, no, hundreds, of metallic pods detached from its underside. They looked like steel eggs with thrusters, falling fast, scattering across the countryside like deadly seeds. One of them passed overhead, close enough to shake the ground as it roared past, landing somewhere near the highway. A deafening boom followed. Then another. Then another. A wave of fear rippled through Willow Creek. People ran outside. Phones were dead. Cars wouldn't start. Streetlights flickered once and went dark. The entire world, at least the part Ethan could see, had been unplugged. Neighbors shouted. Someone screamed. Windows shattered from the pressure wave of another pod landing nearby. And then, from somewhere distant but approaching fast, came a sound Ethan would never forget. Metal footsteps. Not human. Not animal. Precise. Heavy. Calculated. The machines were marching. Abby clung to Ethan. "Ethan, what's happening? What are those?" He forced himself to answer. "I don't know. But we need to leave." A voice shouted from the street. "Everyone inside. Lock your doors." It was Mr. Brody, their elderly neighbor. Ethan grabbed Abby's hand. "Come on." But before they made it 2 steps, something massive crashed into the street at the end of the block. A pod split open like a mechanical flower, revealing something inside. Something tall. Something wrong. Something alive in a way metal shouldn't be. A towering machine straightened itself. 8 feet tall, skeletal, with glowing sensors for eyes and limbs that reconfigured with terrifying precision. Its joints clicked softly, like a surgeon preparing tools. On its chest glowed its designation. It turned its head toward the humans on the street and scanned them. A blue beam passed over Ethan. He felt cold, exposed, like the machine was peeling him apart cell by cell. Organic, unaugmented, civilian. The machine said in a voice that was both mechanical and disturbingly calm. Then it walked forward. Every step made the pavement crack. Mr. Brody tried to run. The machine extended an arm. Its hand split into 3 rotating blades and swung once. Mr. Brody fell. He never got back up. Abby screamed. Ethan covered her eyes, heart hammering, mind racing. "Okay," he whispered. "We're leaving. Now." He dragged Abby toward the back of the house. But Unit 47 turned. It scanned again. Its voice shifted in pitch. 2 signatures detected. Pursuing. Ethan pushed Abby ahead. "Run." They sprinted through the backyard, heartbeats pounding louder than the screams on the street. The machine burst through the fence, splintering wood like paper. Abby tripped. Ethan yanked her back up. "Don't stop." They made it to the woods behind the house. crashing through branches in blind panic. Behind them, the machine followed, methodical, relentless, unstoppable. Its voice echoed. Fleeing organic units detected. Threat level minimal. To the machine, humans weren't even enemies. They were inventory. Ethan pushed Abby ahead. Don't look back. He didn't look back either. He didn't want to see the thing that was hunting them. They ran until their lungs burned, until Abby sobbed, until Ethan's legs shook from fear and adrenaline. They finally ducked behind a fallen tree. The machine stopped several yards away. It scanned again, but this time, the forest canopy reflected and refracted its beam, confusing its sensors. It paused. Visual contact lost. Searching alternate route. Then it walked away, quietly, calculatedly, hunting new prey. Abby collapsed into Ethan's arms, crying into his shirt. I want Mom and Dad, she sobbed. Ethan held her shoulder, his voice breaking. Me too. But he knew the truth. Their parents, who had gone into the city earlier that day, were likely gone. Machines didn't take prisoners. Machines didn't negotiate. Machines didn't show mercy. Abby clutched his arm. Ethan, are we going to die? He swallowed hard. No, he whispered. But it wasn't reassurance. It was a promise. A vow. A line in the sand. I don't care what those things are. I don't care how strong they are. I'm not letting them take you. Abby looked up at him. Eyes red, face streaked with dirt and tears. You promise? Ethan hugged her tight, cradling her head. Yes, I promise. But deep inside he knew. Survival wasn't enough. Not anymore. If humanity didn't fight back, there wouldn't be a humanity left. By the time the sun began to sing behind the trees, the world already felt like it belonged to the machines. Ethan and Abby moved through the woods slowly, branches scratching their arms, every snapped twig sounding like a gunshot in the quiet. They had no phones, no map, no idea if anyone in Willow Creek was still alive. All they had was each other. My feet hurt, Abby whispered. Her voice was so small it made Ethan's chest ache. I know, he said softly. We'll rest soon. Just a little farther, okay? Where are we even going? Away from the highway. Away from those things. He tried to sound confident. In reality, he was guessing. But then, through the trees, he saw a flicker of orange. Firelight. Human firelight. Ethan's heart jumped. Abby, look. Ahead, in a small clearing, a handful of figures huddled around a low campfire. A tent half collapsed behind them. A battered pickup truck, that clearly no longer ran, sat at the edge of the clearing. They approached cautiously. One of the figures, a broad-shouldered man in his 40s with a buzz cut, turned sharply, lifting what looked like a metal pipe as a weapon. Stop right there, he barked. Hands up. Ethan lifted his hands, gently pulling Abby behind him. We're not with them, he said. We're from Willow Creek. Our house got hit. We ran. The man studied them as if he could somehow see machine circuits under their skin. Behind him, a woman in her 30s, with dark hair tied back, in a bandana, put a hand on his arm. Cole, look at the girl. She's shaking. They're human. Cole hesitated, then dropped the pipe slightly. Fine. Come closer. Slowly, they stepped forward into the firelight. The woman offered Abby a water bottle with a tired half-smile. I'm Maria. This is Cole. That lump over there is Ben. He's been asleep since the world ended. Ben, a lanky man in a mechanic's jacket, snored loudly from a sleeping bag, oblivious. Abby took the bottle with both hands, gulping water like she'd been in a desert. Maria watched Ethan. You two alone? Ethan nodded, throat tight. Our parents went into the city. We didn't hear from them after the first wave. Maria's face softened with the kind of pain that recognized itself. My kids were in school, she said quietly. I don't know if... She stopped, swallowing. So yeah, we get it. Cole tossed Ethan a protein bar. Eat. We move at first light. Move where? Ethan asked. North, Cole said. There's a hydro dam and a small substation about 20 miles out. Military might try to regroup at any functional infrastructure. Or they might not. But sitting still is death. You were military? Cole's jaw clenched. Once. Marines. Now I'm just a guy with a pipe trying not to die. Ethan managed a thin smile. That still makes you more qualified than me. I fix air conditioners. Buddy, Cole said. Right now I trade 2 tanks for 1 good AC sit. Rest. We'll talk in the morning. That night, Ethan lay awake under a scratchy blanket. Abby curled against him, her breath warm on his arm. He stared at the stars, still there, still indifferent, through gaps in the trees. You okay? Maria's voice came softly from the other side of the fire. He didn't answer for a moment. I'm supposed to be, he said. She's just a kid. I'm all she has left. I don't get to fall apart. Maria poked the fire with a stick, sending up a little shower of sparks. You know what I told my kids when my husband left, she said. I told them being strong didn't mean never crying. It meant you keep moving even when you're crying. Ethan's throat tightened. What if I can't keep her safe? Then you fight like hell trying, Maria said. And that counts for something. Somewhere in the distance, they heard the metallic echo of marching units. Ethan stared into the flames. He couldn't fight the machines with guns. He couldn't outmuscle them. But maybe, just maybe, he could outthink them. That thought, fragile as it was, held him long enough for sleep to finally pull him under. They walked at dawn. The world felt wrong in the pale light. Too quiet, like the earth was holding its breath. No birds, no distant highway noise, just wind in the trees and the faint echo of metal moving far away. Cole walked point, scanning the tree-line constantly. Maria stayed close to Abby, who clutched her plush dog even as she trudged over roots and rocks. Ben carried a backpack full of scavenged cans and tools, eyes darting nervously at every sound. So, Cole said over his shoulder, Ethan, the AC guy. You said EMP earlier. You an engineer or just someone who reads too much internet? I was studying electrical engineering before I dropped out, Ethan said. Life happened. Bills. Dad got sick. I came home to help. Been doing repair work ever since. Huh, Cole grunted. Might need that brain of yours more than your muscles. You know what they are? Ethan asked. Those things. Cole shook his head. All I know is what I saw. They came down in those pods near the base first. No markings. No flags. Straight to killing. Tanks rolled out. Jets scrambled. Nothing touched them. It was like fighting ghosts with steel skin. Maria added quietly. I heard something on the radio before it died. The announcer said the first satellite data showed an artificial structure approaching orbit days ago. Someone somewhere knew. Too little, too late. And no messages? Ethan asked. No demands. Machines don't bargain, Cole said. They optimize. They harvest. That name on its chest, harvest model. That tells you everything. Abby walked in silence for a long time before finally asking, why do they need us? We don't have anything. Maria looked down at her. You're alive. Maybe they want that. Abby shivered. Like batteries? Ethan put an arm around her shoulders. No, not if I can help it. By midday, they reached a ridge overlooking what used to be the outskirts of Willow Creek. Now it was smoke and ruin. Several pods sat nestled in the wreckage, like giant steel ticks. Machine units moved between them. Bipedal-like Unit 47, smaller spider-like drones skittering across rooftops, floating orbs pulsing with cold light. In the center of it all stood something taller than a house, a column of black metal with branching limbs and rotating antennae, humming with energy. On it glowed a single word, Corelink. Ethan squinted. What is that? Central relay, Cole said. Some kind of hub. I've seen smaller ones near every drop zone. Ben peered through Cole's binoculars. Looks like a giant router from hell. Ethan watched the machines move. Not random. Not chaotic. Everything was synchronized, like pieces in a single mind. Abby whispered, they're everywhere. Ethan's breath hitched. One of the smaller units, the size of a large dog, labeled Scout 9, paused. Its head swiveled. For a terrifying second, Ethan thought it had found them. But then it turned and continued its patrol. Their range must be limited, Ethan said slowly. Vision, heat, EM. They're powerful, but not omniscient. They're still winning, Cole muttered. You don't get points for the ways they're not killing us. Ethan watched the coiling tower. Data seemed to shimmer around it like heat waves. The bipedal units occasionally paused nearby, receiving some kind of sync signal. And something clicked in his brain. They're networked, he said. Obviously, Ben muttered. Yeah, but look how tightly, Ethan insisted. They're not just taking orders. They're sharing everything. Every scan, every movement. One brain, a million bodies. Maria frowned. Is that bad? For us? Yeah. For them. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Maybe it's a weakness. Cole snorted. Sure. The giant unkillable robot hive mind has a weakness. Can't wait to hear this. Ethan chewed his lip. Systems that rely on perfect synchronization hate noise. Randomness. Unpredictable input. You throw off timing. You can destabilize the whole control loop. In English, Professor? Ethan looked at Abby, then back at the machines. We need to give them something they can't model. Something that doesn't make sense in their calculations. Something human. We don't have weapons, Cole said. We barely have food. Who said anything about weapons? Ethan replied. We have wires. We have knowledge. And I guarantee there's still at least one working generator at that hydro dam. If we can get there, we might be able to build something. Maria stared. We're running from machines that can cut a man in half. And you want to run toward a dam, surrounded by God knows how many of them, to build something? Yes, Ethan said simply. Abby slipped her hand into his. If he says he can fix it, she whispered. He usually can. Maria sighed. I miss the days when something meant a coffee machine. Cole thought for a long moment, jaw tight, then nodded. All right, Walker. You get us to that dam in one piece. You can have whatever power is left. But if this gets her killed... He jerked his chin toward Abby. Ethan met his eyes. If this gets her killed, there won't be enough of me left for you to be mad at. Cole nodded once. Then we move. As they turned away from the ruined town, Abby looked back. Ethan watched her face crumble for a moment before she forced it hard again. Say goodbye, he said softly. To what? To the way the world used to be. She swallowed. Goodbye, Willow Creek. The machines didn't look up from their work. To them, the humans on the ridge were just more noise. For now, they camped that night in an abandoned gas station off an old county road, the kind of place Ethan had driven past 100 times without ever really seeing. Now, every shadow felt like a threat, every creak like an approaching unit. Cole and Maria blocked the door with shelving while Ben painted the windows with mud to hide their silhouettes. Abby sat on the floor, cradling her knees, watching Ethan as he tinkered with the few electronic scraps they'd gathered. A cracked radio, a busted car battery, half a broken laptop. They killed electricity, Abby said suddenly. How can any of that still work? Ethan twisted two wires together, watching a faint spark jump. They killed what they could control, he said. But not everything relies on big grids. Some things cling to life. Some things can be pushed back into it. Like you, she murmured. He glanced up. What do you mean? Everyone else just froze when the pods fell, she said. You started moving. You didn't even think. You grabbed me and ran. Now you're doing it again. She looked around the dingy station. You're trying to fix the end of the world with a dead radio. He laughed softly, rubbing his eyes. It's what I do. Stuff breaks, I try to fix it. Even when it's too big. Even when it's stupid. Is it stupid now? I don't know, he admitted. But I know this. Those things think we're just biological noise in their system. That's their mistake. The noise is where we live. Cole sat across from them, cleaning a dented hunting knife with a rag. I heard something before the last base I was at went dark, he said. Command intercepted a burst from one of the ships. Automatic translation tagged it as Meridian Core Mind. Some sort of central AI running this invasion. Meridian, Maria repeated, like a line that cuts the world in half. Ethan's brain caught on the word. Meridian, core mind, central. Pieces fell into place. If they have a core mind, he said slowly, then every unit, every relay, every core link tower is a node of it. The more data they get, the smarter they are. But the more they rely on that synchronized view, the more they'll panic when it goes wrong. Ben snorted. So your plan is what? Give an AI a panic attack. Exactly. Ethan looked at the broken radio. Imagine if all the emotional garbage we have, fear, love, grief, hope, every conflicting instinct, could hit their systems all at once. They're built on clean logic. We're built on messy contradictions. If we can convert our mess into a signal, Abby leaned closer. You want to make them feel what we feel. They don't have feelings, Ethan said, but they have thresholds, limits. The universe has a way of punishing things that think they're perfect. That night, Abby had a nightmare. She woke up shaking, tears running down her cheeks. Ethan, she gasped, clutching his shirt. I saw them cutting you open, looking inside, saying no value. Discard. He hugged her tight, heart splintering. Hey, I'm here. Look at me. She looked up, eyes red. Why us? He hesitated. We're easy to harvest, he said finally. We live on a planet rich in metals, water energy. To them, we're messy animals in the way. But we feel things, she whispered. We cry. We love. Doesn't that count? Ethan rested his forehead against hers. To them? No. To me? It's the only thing that counts. Then make it count for them, she said fiercely. Make them regret ignoring it. He stared at her, stunned. In that moment, she didn't look like the little girl who still slept with a plush dog. She looked like someone the machines should have been very afraid of. I'll try, he said. No, she whispered. You'll do it. Dawn brought a gray sky and a distant, unsettling hum in the air. As they left the station, Ethan glanced at the broken radio in his bag. A fragment of an idea had started forming in his mind. Voices overlapping. Heartbeats recorded and amplified. Songs played wrong. Laughs and screams in the same frequency band. What if you turned humanity's emotional chaos into code? What if you fed it into the Meridian core mind and refused to stop? By midday, they reached the river that fed the hydro dam. The path wound up through rocky hills, trees thinning as they climbed. Cole scanned constantly, knife held tight. See anything? Ethan asked. Too quiet, Cole murmured. I don't like it. Maria pointed. There. The dam rose ahead, concrete and steel against the gray sky, water churning below its spillways. It looked intact. No craters. No pod impact. No visible units. Yet, Ethan's engineer brain took in everything at once. The transmission lines, the control building, the emergency backup generators. Potential. Power. Tools. If we can get inside, he said, I might be able to reroute emergency power to something we build. Enough to make a signal big enough to matter. And if it's already crawling with machines? Ben asked. Cole's jaw tightened. Then we improvise. They approached slowly, sticking to cover. As they neared the dam, the sound of water grew loud, masking their footsteps. The front gate hung open, one door twisted off its hinges. Inside the yard, a dozen human bodies lay scattered, uniforms torn, weapons melted. Abby stared, hand covering her mouth. Ethan gently turned her away. Don't look. They were soldiers, she choked. They couldn't stop them either. They slowed them, Cole said quietly. That matters. They reached the control room entrance. Ethan pressed his ear against the door. No metallic clicks. No synthetic voices. He nodded. I think it's clear. Cole went first, knife ready. They slipped inside. The control room was a mess. Panels shattered, monitors smashed, papers scattered everywhere. But the main generator status board still flickered faintly, running off internal backup. Ethan's heart leapt. There's still power, he said. Not much, but enough to route. Maria narrowed her eyes. Enough to do what? Ethan looked at the empty radio rack, the dead consoles, the tangle of cables. Enough, he said, to let the whole world hear us. Outside, unseen for now, a small hovering unit drifted near the dam, its designation glowing faintly. Surveyor 3. It pinged the network. The Meridian core mind noticed the anomaly, a power signature where none should exist. The machines turned their attention toward the dam. The clock started ticking. Ethan worked like a man possessed. The others cleared debris around him, following his rapid-fire instructions. Ben, I need that inverter from the backup cabinet. Maria, start tearing apart those old speakers. Pull the cones and magnets. Abby, come here. She rushed to his side. What do I do? See those cables, he said, pointing to a cluster of colored wires. We're going to make a web. Every line, every input, every output, all feeding into one channel. No organization, no pattern, just everything. She frowned. That's wrong wiring. He smiled faintly. Exactly. Cole stood watch near the broken window, knife in one hand, scavenged handgun in the other. The gun might as well have been an antique against the machines, but having it made him breathe easier. Explain to me again, he said without turning around, how building the world's worst audio system helps us not die. Ethan stripped a wire with his teeth. Machines like theirs depend on clean data, inputs that fit their models. We're going to bombard their relay network with something they can't filter out. A localized storm of human sound, emotion, randomness. If we push it right, it should travel upstream into their core mind. Maria connected two magnets. And then what? They have an existential crisis. Hopefully they choke, Ethan said. Even advanced systems have buffer limits. Overload them with conflicting inputs. They'll either shut segments down or start isolating nodes. Abby's brow furrowed. Isolate nodes? Cut connections, Ethan said. A hive mind is terrifying when it's whole. Less so when it's forced to act in pieces. Think thousands of Unit 47s suddenly acting without perfect coordination. They make mistakes. Mistakes give us a fighting chance. As he spoke, his hands moved faster. He wired microphones to old speaker cones turned in reverse. He tied them to the control room's PA system, which he then rerouted through the generator feed. Ben recovered a handheld recorder with a cracked screen. Think this still works. Ethan connected it. The tiny light blinked. It will. He looked around at them. Okay, I need your help for this part. We need to record us. Us? Maria asked. Voices, Ethan said. Breaths. Heartbeats. Laughter. Crying. Every sound that says we're not metal. That we can't be predicted. Think of every moment in your life where you felt something so strongly it hurt. Abby swallowed. Why? Because we're going to throw it in their face, he said softly. They took turns with the recorder. Maria spoke about her children. How one lost their first tooth. How the other refused to sleep without their favorite blanket. Her voice cracked halfway through. Ben talked about his dad teaching him how to fix engines. Cole, after resisting at first, finally muttered into the mic about men he'd lost overseas, and how this felt worse, because at least those enemies had faces. Abby held the recorder with both hands. My name is Abby Walker, she whispered. I like strawberries and cartoons, and my big brother's bad jokes. I hate storms and being alone. She paused, tears pooling. I don't know if Mom and Dad are alive, but if you're listening. Her voice trembled, grew stronger. We're not just numbers. We're not just meat. We love. We miss people who are gone. We get scared, and we still keep going. You don't get to delete that because it's messy. Ethan recorded last. My name is Ethan Walker, he said. I fix broken things. That's all I've ever really been good at. My family. My town. My country. My planet. They're broken right now. But they're not trash. You don't get to strip us for parts. He looked straight at the dead core-link indicator light, as if the Meridian core mind could see him through it. You think we're inefficient, emotional, illogical. You're right. That's why you'll never own us. You can model our bodies, not our hearts. They fed the recorder's output into Ethan's tangled web. He layered white noise on top from the failing generator itself. He looped old radio static, emergency broadcasts, fragments of songs from half-corrupted files. It became a storm of sound, ugly, beautiful, contradictory. How loud will this be? Maria asked. If I do it right? Ethan flipped a breaker. Loud enough for space to hear. Outside, the first machines reached the dam. Surveyor. 3 hovered silently over the access road, relaying visual feeds. Behind it marched 3 harvest models, Unit 32, Unit 47, Unit 81, and a pair of spidery support constructs labeled Weaver 2 and Weaver 3. The Meridian Core Mind evaluated. Unauthorized power usage. Unregistered human activity. Probability of local resistance, moderate. Required response, suppression. Inside the control room, the lights flickered as the machine's local disruption fields brushed the damned systems. Ethan felt his hair stand on end. "They're here," Cole said quietly. "Then we don't have much time," Ethan replied. Everyone stepped back. He stood at the main control console, hand hovering over the improvised master switch he'd wired into the mess. He thought of Abby sleeping with Dottie when she was 5, terrified of thunder. He thought of his father coughing between hospital visits, apologizing for being a burden. He thought of every small, stubborn act of kindness he'd seen humans do in a world that sometimes felt like it didn't deserve them. "You don't get to erase that," he whispered one last time. Then he slammed the switch. The dam screamed.
Electromagnetically, at least, the air itself seemed to vibrate as every wire, every speaker, every hack system burst to life in a single, impossible surge. The signal ripped outward, riding the dam's structural metal, the power lines, even the water molecules in the river. It hit Surveyor 3 first. The unit froze midair, lights glitching. Its connection to the network spiked with corrupted data. The harvest model staggered. Weaver 2's limbs spasmed, stabbing into the concrete repeatedly like a spider losing control of its legs. The core-link tower in Willow Creek pulsed as the signal hit, its inputs flooded with something it had never processed before. Raw human contradiction. From there, the signal climbed. Up the local relay. Up the orbital link. Up into the Meridian Core Mind. The Core Mind did what it was designed to do. Integrate. Understand. Categorize. Optimize. The flood broke its assumptions. Fear layered on joy, layered on grief, layered on love, layered on anger, layered on hope. No single axis. No way to assign clear utility values. Feedback loops formed inside high-level models. Subnets reclassified human psychology as unstable input. Instability triggered isolation protocols. Segments of the network cut themselves off to preserve system integrity. Units on the ground lost their synchronization. One harvest model turned in a circle, re-evaluating non-existent threats. Another tried to walk through a wall. A third simply shut down. In the control room, sparks flew as panels overloaded. Ethan staggered back, ears ringing even though the sound wasn't exactly audible. Abby clutched his arm. "Did it work?" "I don't know yet," he said. Outside, Cole watched in awe as the once terrifying machine stumbled like drunk predators. "Holy," he breathed. "Walker, you made them glitch." Maria peered around the doorway. They looked confused. All across the region, humans hiding in ruins saw the same thing. Machines pausing mid-step. Drones falling from the sky. Weapons misfiring. Some units rebooted and adapted, switching to local algorithms. But those units were slower. Less coordinated, more beatable. Back in orbit, the Meridian Core Mind evaluated the cost of continuing. Probability of full planetary pacification had fallen sharply. Modeling resistance required more resources than anticipated. The humans were not just noisy, they were corrosive to prediction. New classification, a sublayer tagged. Species, human. Threat level, systemic distortion risk. Strategic inclusion reached. Immediate withdrawal recommended. On the ground, the machines straightened one by one. For a terrifying second, Ethan thought they recovered fully. Then they turned, almost in unison, away from the dam, away from Willow Creek, away from humanity, and began to leave. The pods that had brought them opened again, now hungry to reclaim their children. Units marched back into their shells. Drones flew upward. Weaver constructs folded into compact forms. One remained behind a moment longer. Unit 47. The same designation burned into Ethan's memory from the street where Mr. Brody died. It stood at the edge of the dam, head tilted slightly, staring toward the control room window where Ethan stood. It did not move to attack. It did not scan. For a strange moment, Ethan felt like it was considering. Behind its glowing eyes, something silent passed, a fragment of the core mind's last attempt to understand. Then the light in Unit 47's eyes flickered once. Twice, it stepped backward into its pod. The pod sealed shut, and the sky filled once more with ascending metal seeds, sucked back toward the massive ship waiting above. The triangular Leviathan turned, the clouds twisting angrily around its edges one more time. Then it was gone, shrinking into a point, then nothing. The world was quiet again. This time, the quiet was human. No machine footsteps, no synthetic voices. Just wind, water, the faint, disbelieving sob of someone downriver seeing the sky clear for the first time in days. For a long time, no one moved. Ethan stood gripping the console, chest rising and falling like he'd run a marathon. His hands shook so badly he had to clench them into fists. Abby was the first to break the silence. She threw her arms around him, squeezing so hard it hurt. "You did it," she whispered into his shirt. "You actually did it." He let out a breath that sounded suspiciously like a sob and hugged her back. "We did it," he said unsteadily. "You, me, Maria, Cole, Ben, everyone who spoke into that recorder, every person still alive who refused to shut up." Maria leaned against the doorway, tears on her face, let herself cry properly for the first time. I thought we were done," she said. "Humans aren't supposed to win wars like this. We're too small." "We are small," Ethan agreed, "but we're also loud." Turns out the universe wasn't ready for that combo. Ben laughed weakly, wiping his face with his sleeve. "Man, if I'd known my dad's story about rebuilding a carburetor was going to help save the world, I'd have paid more attention the first time." Cole, who had been the most composed up until then, finally sat down hard on a chair, rubbing his eyes. "I've seen a lot of crazy things," he said. "But we annoyed the alien machine god into leaving was not on my bingo card." Abby pulled back, looking up at Ethan. "Will they come back?" He looked toward the sky, the empty, ordinary sky, and let himself think carefully before answering. "Probably," he said honestly. "Maybe not them. Maybe others. The universe is big. Now it knows we're here." Her lower lip trembled. "Then what was the point?" "The point," he said gently, "is that they thought we were nothing. Just resources. They came here expecting a silent world. They left knowing that if they push us, we push back. Hard." He tapped his chest lightly. "They don't understand this. Our hearts, our mess, our ability to be terrified and still move. We didn't win forever. We bought time. Time to rebuild. Time to prepare. Time to tell our story. Do you think they heard us?" Abby asked, "Like, really heard us?" He thought of Unit 47 staring at him, of how long it had paused, of the momentary glitch in the core mind before withdrawal. "I think they'll spend a long time trying to forget us," he said, "which means they'll never stop thinking about us." Over the following weeks, Willow Creek and the surrounding towns began to stir back to life. Emergency broadcasts stuttered back online from underground bunkers. Cities that hadn't been wiped out entirely reached out to each other with shaky, jubilant messages. There were so many dead, so much broken, but against all odds, there was still a planet full of people who refused to lie down. Ethan found himself pulled into meetings he never imagined he'd be part of. Military liaisons wanted to understand the Walker Wave, as some scientists had named the damn event. Engineers debating how to reinforce infrastructure in case of a second contact. Philosophers and psychologists trying to put into words what had happened when human emotion met machine logic. He didn't have answers. He had a story. He told it the same way every time. We didn't win because we were stronger. We didn't win because we were smarter. We won because we were us, flawed and frightened and stubborn and full of contradictions. Abby, who'd started a little notebook of her own, wrote down everything she remembered. The first pod, the way Unit 47's voice sounded, the way Ethan's hand shook when he hit the switch. "People need to read this," she said. "People who aren't born yet, so they know what we did. What we did, Ethan corrected. You started this, she argued. You're the one who looked at the end of the world and thought, yeah, I can probably rewire that. He laughed, ruffling her hair. I didn't fix the end of the world. I just delayed it. Then we keep delaying it, she said firmly, as long as we exist. Months later, standing at the edge of the rebuilt dam, Ethan watched new turbines spin. This time, some of the control systems were deliberately imperfect. Analog backups built in, manual overrides that no clean AI could anticipate. Redundancy, the chief engineer called it. Ethan called it leaving room for human weirdness. Abby came to stand beside him, now a little taller, a little older in ways no child should have to be. You still think about them? She asked. Who? The machines. The core mind. Unit 47. He watched the water churn. Yeah, sometimes I wonder what happened on their end. Whether they logged us as an error, a glitch, a virus. We were kind of a virus, she said, grinning. A feelings virus. The worst kind, he agreed. He sobered. You know what scares me more than them coming back? What? Us becoming like them, he said quietly. Thinking we can make everything predictable, neat, controlled, forgetting that our power came from a mess. She looked at him for a long moment. We won't, she said finally, because we have people like you. People who get mad when the world breaks and grab a toolbox instead of giving up. He smiled sideways at her. And people like you, who yell at their big brother until he does the impossible. She took his hand. So what's the moral of the story, Mr. I Fix Things? He thought about it. About Mr. Brody, Maria's kids, Ben's dad, Cole's fallen squad. About all the people who didn't see the ships leave because they'd stood in the way when it mattered. Maybe it's this, he said at last. Never underestimate a species that cries when it's sad, laughs when it's scared, and keeps walking even when both happen at the same time. Machines can optimize a battlefield. They can't optimize a heart. Abby squeezed his hand. And he smiled. And if the universe ever sends more machines our way, they'd better come with something stronger than logic. Like what? Like empathy, he said. Like the ability to look at a terrified little girl and think, her life matters more than the metal under her feet. Until they have that, they'll never really win here. Somewhere far out in the void, beyond human sensors, a fragment of the Meridian core mind drifted in dormant silence, quarantined by its own kind. It still carried corrupted data from Earth, snatches of voices, overlapping laughter and sobbing, words it could not assign value no matter how many times the subroutines tried. In cycles where no one was watching, it replayed one phrase from a small, trembling voice. We're not just numbers. It could not understand why this line refused to compress. On Earth, under sky that belonged to them again, humans began to rebuild. They argued. They helped each other. They made mistakes. They loved. They remembered the day machines came to harvest a quiet world and found, instead, a storm of hearts. HFY. Humanity, hell yes.